Imagine this: two coworkers, Sarah and Mike, both get good news on the same day. Sarah receives a $5,000 raise, bringing her annual salary from $60,000 to $65,000. Mike doesn't get a raise, but he's been quietly building something even more valuable: a $10,000 emergency fund sitting in his savings account. Fast forward 6 months, and their lives look drastically different. Sarah is still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all that extra money went. Mike just handled a major car repair, helped a family member in crisis, and is sleeping better than he has in years. Here's the shocking truth that personal finance experts don't talk about enough: having $10,000 in savings can fundamentally transform your financial life in ways that a typical raise simply cannot. Today, we're going to break down exactly why cash in the bank beats a bump in salary, and how this one financial move can change everything about how you experience money, stress, and opportunity. Let's start with the mathematics that most people overlook. When you get a $5,000 raise, you're not actually taking home $5,000. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, that raise typically shrinks to around $3,500 to $4,000 in your pocket, depending on your tax bracket. Spread that across 12 months, and you're looking at roughly $300 extra per month. It sounds nice, but here's the problem: lifestyle inflation is real and it's ruthless. Studies show that when people receive raises, they tend to increase their spending almost immediately. That nicer apartment, the upgraded car payment, dining out more frequently, these small upgrades consume that extra income before you even realize it's happening. Now contrast that with having $10,000 in actual savings. This money has already been taxed. It's sitting there fully yours, completely liquid, and ready to deploy when life inevitably throws you a curveball. According to the Federal Reserve's report on the economic well-being of U.S. households, nearly 40% of Americans would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 emergency expense. Think about that statistic for a moment. $400. A minor car repair, a trip to urgent care, a broken appliance, any of these common occurrences can derail someone's entire month. When you have $10,000 saved, you're not just ahead of 40% of Americans, you're operating in a completely different financial reality. The real power of savings reveals itself in something economists call opportunity cost and financial flexibility. When you don't have savings and an emergency strikes, your options are severely limited and expensive. You might put the expense on a credit card with an interest rate of 18 to 25%. You might take out a payday loan with effective annual rates that can exceed 300%. You might borrow from family, creating emotional debt that's often more costly than the financial kind. Each of these options doesn't just cost you money, it pushes you further backward, creating a cycle that's incredibly difficult to escape. But when you have that $10,000 cushion, emergencies become inconveniences instead of catastrophes. Your transmission fails. Annoying, but manageable. You lose your job. You've got roughly 3 to 4 months of essential expenses covered, giving you time to find the right position rather than desperately taking the first offer out of panic. This is where savings transforms from a simple financial metric into something much more profound: freedom. You gain the freedom to make better decisions, to wait for the right opportunity, to say no to situations that don't serve you. There's also a psychological dimension to savings that researchers are increasingly studying. A landmark study published in the journal Psychological Science found that financial scarcity actually reduces cognitive function. When people are worried about money, their effective IQ drops by as much as 13 points. That's equivalent to losing a full night's sleep. Think about what this means in practical terms. When you're constantly stressed about money, you make worse decisions at work, in your relationships, and about your future. You're operating with diminished mental capacity precisely when you need your sharpest thinking. Having savings doesn't just change your bank account, it literally changes how your brain functions. The contrast with a raise becomes even starker when we consider negotiating power. When you have savings, you have leverage. You can negotiate harder for a better salary because you're not desperate. You can leave a toxic work environment because you have a runway. You can invest in education or skills training that might require you to reduce your hours temporarily. One of the most overlooked aspects of wealth building is that money makes money, but it's not just through investment returns. It's through the better decisions, the strategic patience, and the calculated risks that become possible when you have a financial foundation. Let's talk about the investment angle for a moment, because this is where savings can start working for you in multiple ways simultaneously. That $10,000 doesn't have to just sit in a regular savings account earning minimal interest. With the emergency fund established, you can start thinking strategically. High-yield savings accounts currently offer interest rates between 4 and 5%, which means your $10,000 generates $400 to $500 annually with zero risk. That's like getting a small raise that requires no additional work, no commute, and no boss to please. But the more powerful move is what that savings enables next. With a solid emergency fund, you can finally start investing without fear. You can put money into a retirement account, knowing that if something goes wrong, you won't have to pull it out and pay penalties. You can take advantage of market opportunities when they appear. When the stock market dips, people without savings panic and sell. People with savings see a buying opportunity. This is how wealth gaps widen. It's not just about income. It's about having the financial stability to make moves when others can't. There's another critical factor we need to address: the hidden costs of not having savings. Financial stress affects your health in measurable ways. Studies have linked financial anxiety to higher rates of heart disease, high blood pressure, depression, and anxiety disorders. These health issues lead to medical expenses, lost workdays, and reduced productivity, all of which cost you far more than any raise could provide. When you have savings, you reduce chronic stress, you sleep better. Your relationships improve because money fights, which are among the top causes of divorce, become less frequent and less intense. The value of these improvements is nearly impossible to quantify, but anyone who's experienced the difference knows it's worth far more than a few hundred extra dollars per month. We should also consider the compounding effect of financial decisions. When you don't have savings, you end up paying what some economists call the poverty premium. You can't buy in bulk because you don't have the cash up front, so you pay more per unit. You can't pay your insurance premiums annually for a discount, so you pay monthly with fees. You might not qualify for better credit cards with rewards, so you miss out on cashback and points. You pay late fees, overdraft fees, and higher interest rates. These small premiums add up to thousands of dollars per year. Having savings lets you avoid these traps and actually pay less for the same goods and services. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but how am I supposed to save $10,000 when I'm barely making ends meet now? This is a valid question, and the answer isn't to just spend less on coffee, despite what some personal finance gurus might tell you. The path to $10,000 in savings is different for everyone, but the principles are universal. Start with whatever you can, even if it's just $25 per paycheck. Automate the transfer so you never see the money. Treat your savings account as seriously as any other bill. Look for ways to increase income, whether through side projects, skills development, or strategic career moves. Most importantly, protect the savings you do accumulate. Don't dip into it for wants disguised as needs. The journey to $10,000 might take a year, or it might take 3 years. But here's what changes the moment you commit to building it: your relationship with money fundamentally shifts. You move from reactive to proactive. You start seeing yourself as someone who has savings, someone who's financially stable, someone who's building wealth. This identity shift is perhaps the most powerful element of all, because it influences every financial decision you make going forward. If this video has opened your eyes to the transformative power of savings over salary, I want you to do something right now. First, hit that subscribe button, because we're building a community of people who are serious about financial freedom, not just financial fantasy. We dive deep into money strategies that actually work, backed by research and real-world results. Second, give this video a thumbs up to help others discover this message. Financial literacy is something everyone deserves, and your engagement helps spread this crucial information. Finally, Drop a comment below and tell me, are you team savings or team raise, and why? Or better yet, share where you are on your journey to that first $10,000. Let's support each other, share strategies, and build wealth together. Remember, a raise might boost your ego, but savings will transform your life. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue this journey toward real financial power.